double O. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. It's The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, for another day. It's Tuesday, May the 19th, 2026, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. We do this every day. What do we call it? Well, we call it talk radio for normal people, working class people, okay? People who can't afford or have too much to lose to be either politically radicalized or whatever else there is. You know what I mean? We're just normal people. We'll vote for the next guy that seems like he makes some sense, because none of these people make any sense. And we don't do a whole bunch of politics here, but I do think it's important at the start for me to just kind of put out there what kind of lens I'm going to be commenting on all the other stupid shit in the world through. It's nonpartisan. It's non-political. It's just a normal guy at a bar going, "You sound stupid." That's what we do here, and that's who the show is for. So I thank you all so much for being here on this Tuesday. Like, follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. We got a bunch of junk we're going to get into today, but I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be a quicker show. It's going to be a shorter show. We ain't going to be doing any breaks. If we do a break, it's because we're done. It's not because, I don't have the content or because I'm angry at my chickens, which I'm not. I just got a lot of stuff to do. I got stuff that I got a little bit of time, and I got stuff that needs to be handled. So we'll do a full show, but what I'm saying is it won't be one of the marathons. Let's turn to the chat room, because this is the engine that makes this little beast roar. The chat room. You people have been with me now for 25 years. Let's just say that. Feels like it sometimes, doesn't it? 25 years, but no, actually 5 years. You've been with me for 5 years, and I like to reward the citizens of the chat room with a Formula One style podium presentation. Of course, in Formula One, it's not just the guy who wins that gets all the glory. It's the guy who comes in second and the guy who comes in third. And then it's the other 17 guys who race who are like, you guys suck. That's not the case for the rest of the chat room. Anyway, let's reward or award the podium today. In first place, first person in the chat waiting for this show to begin, Tyronda. Look at her. Off the podium it's like she took it as a personal challenge the other day when I said, look at Taronda, not podiuming. Look at that. Wow. Taronda, number one. Good to see. It's like when Tiger Woods has a good round of golf. You know what I mean? That's who Taronda is. She doesn't need to be number one in the chat room anymore. She has established, what she's about. But every once in a while, Tiger has a good round of golf, and you're like, look at that, Taronda's number one again. And it feels good. It feels good. So congratulations to Taronda. Let's turn to number two. Number two, whoa! First time on the podium. Yeah, first time on the podium for Kevin, KB. Here's what I was thinking about with you, KB, the other day. And I wanted to say something about it, but so there's like a strange dynamic in the chat room. It's a mishmash of people who know me in one way from one time, and then a whole group of other people who know me from another way in another time. And both of you probably have real unique perspectives on what the hell's going on right now, or for the past 5 years for that matter. But here's what I love about Kevin, and I love this about a couple other people I've seen pop in. I mean, Mama B. But she was a mom. But Mama B has this to an extent, and Tom does to an extent. Anyway, point is this. Kevin in the chat room, like, here, I promise you. Ready? I'll prove it. This will be a test. And you be honest. You be honest in the chat room, Kevin, okay? Kevin, I want you to make a straight face. I don't want you to laugh. I don't want you to smile. I'm going to say something that's going to make Kevin smile. And he's going to be honest. He's going to be like, yeah, okay, I smiled. Because we have this language from 40 years ago. All right, Kevin, straight face. Skibba-jabang-jabop. There you go. Skibble-jabang-jabop. That's all I got to say, and I know that Kevin's smiling right now because we know what that means. None of you folks do. And if I'm being honest about the whole skibble-jabang-jabop thing, I'm not sure we know what it means, but we do know the context of why it's funny, which is important. All right. Oh, my girl, Jen Spade. Jen, you want to talk about something that misconsistency. How long me and Jen go back? Well, I guess that's a bad comparison because I just talked about Kevin and I being like 15 years old together. But Anyway, Jen, thank you, Jen. That's your podium for today. Taronda, Kevin, and Jen. I love my podium. Had a weird thing happen. So, I have a ritual that I do here. Like just before I go on the air to clear my head, I go up to the little bodega up there, and I either buy a cup of coffee. They got like 99-cent coffee, and it's really cool, and it's nice. And just before I come on the stream, I just because it's right down the block, so I jump in my car and I go down there, get a cup of coffee. Today I purchased. Today I had to get my new nicotine boxes. I had to run up for that. It's always good for that too. But anyway, it is a designed sort of. God, you guys think I'm so weird because everything that I do, it's almost like I have to trick myself mentally, right? This is what therapy has done to me. So anyway, it's a designed 10 minutes before we go on the air where I can just kind of be out there, clear my head, not come on and be an asshole because of whatever, you know what I mean? Anyway, just a little ritual that I do before we start the show. And if I'm being honest, it's the reason why sometimes the show starts a little bit late. Sometimes I start talking to Nani. Yeah, Nani's my dude up there at the corner. Nani's from Palestine. Nani's got hot takes. But Nani's awesome. Anyway, sometimes I get into a conversation with Nani and the show runs right. Today, I'm walking out to my car, which is literally like right at the end of the block, and then you go like 1/2 block over. It's real close. So today I'm walking out to my car, and there's like these two dudes, and they're like construction workers, or they're like jobbers or whatever. They're employed working men. They're exactly who this show is for. I would put them in their mid to late 30s to mid to late 40s. They look like that, grizzled. Roofers, maybe. I don't know. They had construction trucks. And they're sitting there in a little area, and I don't know what the area is designed for, but there's kind of like a little bench. They're sitting there on the bench, and it's their lunchtime, and they're smoking a joint. They're just sitting out there. It's a beautiful day. They're just sitting there. I walk by, and I'm like, gentlemen, and they're like, what's up? I'm like, yeah, okay. So then I get my car to come back here anyway. So as I'm pulling out, a police car comes up the block and is pulling into this little thing too. And these dudes are just like smoking a joint right there. And I'm like, I got to see how this plays out. So I stop before I make the turn into the neighborhood, into the little block. So I stop, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at my rear view mirror, and the cop just got out of the car and walked into the place. And I went, oh yeah, I'm in a state where that shit's legal. Where it's not like, some horrible offense that you need to be, 3 strikes and you do life in prison for having a joint in your pocket. And it just struck me again as I was driving back that it is such a, I come from a different time. Like these kids today, they'll never know the struggles that we potheads went through back when it was illegal. I mean, the means that we went to conceal the smell, and just going to your dirtbag weed dealer's apartment and then having like a quarter bag in your car for like 2 miles back home. You're like petrified. You're like, oh my God, is that a cop? All right, I'm going to turn in here. Oh, did that look natural? That totally didn't look natural. He's following me. That's how we lived. It made us edgy. It kept us, on point whenever, weed is concerned. And now I'm seeing guys, they were obviously younger than me, and probably 10, 15 years, but I'm seeing guys from a different generation that don't have that concern at all. Meanwhile, I'm still like, ooh, you're going to get in trouble because here comes that cop. And it's not just there. It's everywhere. The other day, I was looking for something for my mom. And I don't know what it's called, but I'm like describing it to like all of these bud tenders at these places. And it's the stuff I heard about online, and it's supposed to be great. I mean, anyway, I'll find it. And I'm looking for it in tincture form. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm talking to this guy, and I'm in a legal weed dispensary. And the guy says to me, he goes, well, would this be for medicinal or recreational? And I kind of looked at him and I went, well, I mean, I want her to get high. I said it like that. And then he responds with, okay, so we'll do recreational. We'll get her a nice little high. I'm like, See, I still live in the world where, you're not supposed to be open about it. I'm in the middle of a weed dispensary and I'm like, well, I wanted to get high. Anyway, dudes are probably back at work. They're probably hammering nails. They're probably like they're up on a ladder. They're like 3 stories up and they're baked out of their mind. And it's fine. It's fine. They're probably going to do the best work. See, that's another thing. It's something that people are slowly starting to realize about marijuana and alcohol, right? We were all raised where alcohol was celebrated, and it still is to a great extent. I mean, quite literally, when you win something big, you celebrate with alcohol, champagne. So we've always kind of had this acceptance, maybe even turning a blind eye to the obvious dangers of alcohol. I mean, how many generations of alcoholic families have been destroyed simply because there wasn't an awareness and there was just this idea that, everybody drinks, or whatever. I always laugh because growing up, I was raised by a man, my grandfather, who anytime anybody helped you with anything, my car broke down. He gave me a jump. I needed a jump. I didn't know the guy. He just came over and he's like, hey, you need a jump? I'm going to send him a bottle of his favorite booze. Like that's how my grandpa lived. That was the thank you very much to anybody and everybody, because now you can't do that because, well, I quit drinking, but thank you. I mean, it was a different sort of way of treating this particular intoxicant. And at the same time, marijuana, which just grows out of the ground, it was like demonized, like, oh, that's the oogie boogie jazz music, the devil's lettuce, it was demonized. And I don't know why. I mean, there's a whole bunch of theories on why, but that is the world that we grew up on, that this intoxicant was truly evil. And the alcohol intoxicant was fine. Everybody have a beer. You can drink wine when you're pregnant, But now we find ourselves in a world where there is more awareness about the inebriation caused by both of these intoxicants. And more people are realizing that, I'm going to smoke a joint on my lunch, and then I'm going to go and completely wallpaper that rehab that we're doing. And it is going to be the most specifically detailed and beautiful wallpapering job you've ever seen. That's what weed will do to you. I'm starting to realize it now. You remember the genius stoner, the kid that was always like stoned before tests and somehow he got aces and A's? Yeah, because that kid was getting high when he was studying, and he was studying 3 times as diligently and focused as everybody else, right? So those are like the realities of weed consumption and what that inebriant does to you. You still shouldn't drive, and you still shouldn't operate heavy machinery because you are not on point universally. You're dialed in. You're either really chill and focused on the cartoon you're watching, which is the stereotype, or you're trying to, split an atom in a lab somewhere, right? You can't do that with booze, right? Booze is never going to make you a better wallpaper guy. I got shit-faced. Anyway, that's the world we live in. And I just saw a cop roll past 2 workmen who were getting high, and I thought, you're going to get in trouble. And of course they didn't. And by the way, none of that is meant to say that any inebriant or something that causes intoxication is necessarily a good thing, but it is something that in moderation, I think that we human beings should be allowed to abide in. Absolutely. As with anything, you can go overboard, but moderation and just be smart. Freedom! Don't have that freedom in Texas, though. That's the other thing. Texas freedom is that special kind of freedom that doesn't give you any freedom at all. As a matter of fact, they define freedom as restrictions. Restrictions on gambling. You can't gamble the way we can up here. Oh my God, and that's a good thing, though, because I am not pro gambling. I mean, I would be, but I don't know how. It's all confusing. I got to learn. You don't have free prostitution or legal prostitution. Well, nobody really does have that. So that's good. But weed's another one. I suppose I could get into the whole, women's freedoms and stuff, but nah, I'm not going to do that because we're just going to roll into today's show. But before we do, we're going to say hi to everybody else in the chat room because I left off with the podium. Today's podium, once again, let's congratulate Taronda in first, Kevin in second, and then, of course, the ever-consistent Jen. We also got Peter. Peter's in the chat room. Hold on. I'm going to keep going here. We got Peter. Oh, we've got Peter, April, Maddie. Okay, now we're getting in Adams here. All right, everybody. Is that a Twitch watcher? Do we have a Twitch watcher? I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Are we on Twitch? Or is that just Maddie? I don't know. Every other one is Maddie. I don't mind it though, because it looks like there's more people in the chat room. Maddie's here, of course. Let's see who else. Billy Falk, my guy, Billy Falk. How you like my White Sox, Billy Falk? Billy Falk is a Kansas City Royals fan, proud Kansas City Royals fan. I got no hatred for the Kansas City Royals. Well, I mean, they've been kicking the shit out of us for years, but not anymore, Billy Falk. Here come the White Sox. All right, so they got blown out last night. That's, it's going to happen. You know how emotional the 3-game series was against the Cubs? They played a 3-game home series that ended in an extra inning walk-off home run, the greatest moment in Cubs Sox history. The team went absolutely nuts and then got on a plane for Seattle. So, yeah, they were a little flat last night. That's fine. But so are the Cubs. The White Sox may have broken the Cubs. They might have. The White Sox will be fine. They'll catch their wind and they'll be like, all right, that was fun. Let's keep going. But the Cubs might have been broken. Cubs came out. The Cubs' biggest series of the year so far is happening right now against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are nipping at their heels. The dreaded and feared Pat Murphy-led Milwaukee Brewers. They're right there. And the Cubs hosting. Here's what I love. Cubs hosting the Brewers at Wrigley for the first time, I believe, since the last time the Cubs hosted the Brewers at Wrigley, which was the last game of last year when the Brewers knocked the Cubs out of the playoffs. So that's fun. So they got to be up for that, right? Nope, they weren't because the White Sox broke them. All right, that's enough of that. All right. What am I missing in the chat room? All right. Is there anything new? I already knew a lot because I watched the press conference yesterday and several streams breaking it down. What's she talking about? Let's see here. All right. Look at that. All right. I'm going to pay very special attention to our new Twitch chat. I don't know how we're on Twitch. Did Maddie do some magic? I don't know. I've had a Twitch account for years, and for some reason I've never paid any attention to it because I'm old. So, all right. Adam, I wanted to go to Adam in the chat room. He had some interesting takes on the whole marijuana thing that I was getting into there. Just about how, again, Gen X. I don't know if Gen X, are we the least preachy of the generations or are we the most preachy? I don't know. I just know that we Gen X have a very unique point of view. We're not looking to fight with anybody because remember, the boomers, your arch nemesis, yeah, well, they raised us and we ain't too happy with them either. So, I don't know what to tell you. All right. So Adam, on the subject of, being raised Gen X, I still have this inbred sort of horror of being found out that I like weed, even though it's legal now and it's totally fine. Adam says it's because of jazz, as you said. It was the black and brown folks who used it. So it was demonized. Also, alcohol companies knew immediately it needed to be stamped out. Yeah, the alcohol company or the alcohol, I don't want to get into this, but it is a fun subject to talk about now. The decisions that our great-grandparents made way back then, what they thought was logical. And, I guess it should be soothing to realize that, just because our guys now don't seem to think logically, it doesn't mean we ever did. But yeah, alcohol played a big role in it, except that you forget that the alcohol companies didn't have a whole lot of power because they had been fighting off the whole abolition movement for a long time. It was the tobacco growers. It was the big Southern tobacco conglomerates that for some reason felt that marijuana was more of a threat to them, even though the magic in their product was that it was addictive. It had nicotine and marijuana didn't. But a combination of both. But the people who had the real power were the cigarette people, and the cigarette people did not want weed. I don't know why. They should have embraced it and taken down the beer people, right? If R.J. Reynolds had embraced marijuana in like 1950, seriously, think about the brands, the iconic American brands that would have been established in 1950. The weed brand, the R.J. Reynolds weed drinks or whatever. I don't know. But no, there's always influence. There's always been influence in the policies that shape our life. And that is the demonization of marijuana is a great example of that, because it's now silly by what we understand today to be the actual scientific facts about these two inebriants. Of course, alcohol and marijuana. Adam says they say people with ADHD can take weed differently than people who don't, that they can focus more. Maybe that's why Kelly never felt anything when she smoked. Yeah, that's a lie. She changed. She was never a big smoker, but she did get high. I will say that High Kelly, for those of us who were like, for High Kelly was pretty funny. She did. But publicly, and by the way, it was never like a consistent thing, but publicly, she was the mom and it was Texas. And so she had to stake a position that wasn't a complete lie, but whatever. But Kelly could smoke. She liked it. She didn't like anything else, though. She didn't have a problem with pills. That was like pills. What do you got in your purse, mama? It's all prescribed. Okay, Elvis. All right. Also, though, I will say this, that Adam did touch on the whole racial component of the demonization of marijuana. And that was true, but it was mostly true because it was only that culture in America that had truly embraced it. Like white culture didn't even know what weed was at that point. So there wasn't like a big concern about infringing upon the rights of those people because it was just those jazz, bougie, woogee music people. All right. Like the guys making these rules, they were into like barbershop quartets and stuff. That's, that was the musical difference back then. They listened to jazz and were like, well, that's the devil's music. Peter with a terrific observation. He says that Marlboro Green wouldn't be menthol. No, it wouldn't. No. All right. Let's see. Here's some of the stuff we're going to get into today. Let's see. I've already told you about what was on my mind. Let's see. Let's run through it. I told you it was going to be quick, but I think, I've handpicked these stories and they're things that I think we can all get behind. Well, we're going to cover the mosque shooting. Okay. We're going to start out with that. The situation in San Diego that was ongoing while we were signing off the show yesterday. We'll cover it. We know more, and the details are, what is happening to our teens in America. As the father of a 17-year-old boy who's going to be coming here and spending the summer with me, a boy who is going through some very big life changes and who I am really looking forward to the opportunity to sort of, getting him right. Not that he's wrong, but there's things going on. And anyway, point is this. Man, teens in America. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Austin shooting from 2 days ago and the San Diego Mosque shooting from yesterday and the similarities. All right, we're also going to talk about this. We don't do a lot of politics here, but we are going to talk a little bit about the Massie situation in Kentucky because I find it just funny. I think it's funny. I don't care. Well, I'll tell you if I care or if I don't care, because I do have some very specific thoughts on the situation happening in Kentucky today, where Trump critic, but otherwise really hardcore right-wing Republican. The only thing that he differs from with Trump that I can tell is that he wants more answers on Epstein. And so Trump's like, no, and he doesn't like that. So Trump has circled the wagons around him. So that's a very dramatic thing that's happening there. And I do have some specific thoughts. So we'll get into those as well. Elon lost in court to his arch nemesis. Now, before we applaud, it ain't like the good guys won, and we'll dive into that whole thing. Elon lost in court yesterday, and again, I'm not sure there are any winners in this whole thing. We're gonna check in on Chud. That's right, Chud the Builder. He's getting a little bit desperate in prison. We've got some audio of him apparently he's like he needs money. He needs money, and he's calling people and he's asking for money. And of course, those people are duplicitous influencer scumbags. So they're making those pleas public, and we'll listen to one. Chud desperately looking for support from people to help him out as he's in prison now. PCA, we're gonna touch on the big local Chicago story from yesterday that has spilled into today. Paul Christian Anderson, that's who we're talking. No, we're talking about Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA. PCA, fantastic ball player for the Northside Chicago Cubs here in the city of Chicago, and got into it with a fan from the crosstown rival White Sox, and it's just been all everybody's talking about. We're going to put it to bed. We're going to finish this, and I'll give you my take as the dust settles on the PCA is a piece of crap story. That's the story from the South Side. That's from the North Side. It's that chick's the South Side. And I think people outside of either the North Side or the South Side, I think people outside go, yeah, he shouldn't have said that to a woman. I think that's the logical, reasonable thing, right? It just so happens in this case, I'm on the right. But whatever, Cub fans are like, yeah, well, maybe if she wasn't a dirty whore to begin with. Anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll put it to bed, and I'll give you my final statement on it. And again, I think you're going to be surprised. All right, there you go. That's the tease. And we watch some video. Oh, there is another story that I want to talk about that's been going viral. It went last night, and I saw it, and it's something that I saw years ago, but it's never been talked about, and I wanted to talk about it because it's really bad video. Like, it's video. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to see directly someone die, but we're going to see a scenario unfold where someone does die, and it concerns the TV show Cops. Back in 2014, a sound man for the TV show Cops was shot and killed during an armed robbery that he was covering. The video has been very protected and sparingly out there, but it has been out there. And I guess yesterday it got some traction and it went viral. But it's being presented completely out of context. And so we'll watch the video. I'll show you how it's being presented as it goes viral. 12, 13 years after it happened. We'll talk about that presentation, and then I'll give you the facts. I'll give you the real context, and it doesn't make it any better. It's just another example of how, you need to be careful when you look at things online and get all ginned up, and you're like, I'm dedicating my life to that post. That's what happens. One guy posts something, you believe it, and all of a sudden now you believe that, and you build on that, and before you know it, you're trying to burn down the Capitol on January 6th. All right. Let's see. And we get a bunch of stuff. Oh, fun at the old ballpark. That's right. We've been doing this ongoing series of how fans are behaving at ballparks. I am a great believer that baseball is the finest sport in America. Although at the same time, I would tell you I'm a bigger football fan. I don't know. I'm a weird. I'm walking. I love baseball. I love baseball and I love football. I mean, what's the question, right? Is the question, would you watch Game 7 of a White Sox World Series if it was on at the same time of a Chicago Bears Super Bowl? Oh, man! I don't think I'd watch either. I think I'd go on vacation. There'd be no way, because the prospect of both losing would be so devastating. Anyway. We'll break down the video. We'll break down video from the Cops thing, and we'll talk about fun at the old ballpark. All right, those are the last two. All right, very good. Let's see. Let's go into the mosque shooting, right? So yesterday in San Diego, as we were signing off the air, we started to get, this happens a lot. Sometimes it happens right at the start of the show, as is the case of Uvalde. When Uvalde happened, we started the show right off with, hey, something's going on here in Texas. And then we abandoned that story. I mean, that really upsets me. I think now about that Uvalde story, if we had really leaned into it and gone wire to wire coverage on that day with Uvalde, Well, we wouldn't have, because remember, the problem with Uvalde was about an hour and a half into it, they said it was all clear and everything was fine. And then it was like 3-4 hours later when San Antonio Hospital started reporting all of these patients that the story broke again. So I guess we're absolved from missing that one. But yesterday, as the show was ending, there was another report of an active shooter incident, a mass casualty incident at a mosque in San Diego. And we now know 2 teenage boys. It's being called. Okay. Security guard died. The security guard who confronted them died. 3 others died, right? Two other mosque people, mosque employees or something. And the security guard died. And then the 2 gunmen died. So there's a total of 5. And the 2 gunmen, I have a hard time being as cavalier about saying the 2 gunmen cowards, because they are fucked up teen boys in 2026. And I have a teen boy. And part of this summer is trying to make sure going on with kids. And we'll flash here. Anyway, okay, so the mosque situation on the heels of the Austin situation from the day before, which featured 2 15 and 2 17-year-olds in Austin, went on a 2-day shooting spree. That was followed up yesterday by 2 teenage boys in Southern California who were somehow radicalized into some racial pride thing, which is, again, another example of what I guess I don't know what racial pride is anymore, because one of these gunmen was Hispanic or Latino or something. I mean, I don't want to, his name was I don't even want to give their names, but his name was a Mexican name, a Hispanic name. White pride. Again, we've got the guy who runs the Proud Boys, which is supposed to be a white pride organization. That guy's a Mexican. We got the most influential white pride influencer in America is Nick Fuentes. He's a Mexican. I have no idea what's going on. And now a couple of white pride kids in Southern California shoot up a mosque to defend white pride on a suicide mission because they telegraphed that they were going to kill themselves. They left a note. One of them did. And one of these kids is Mexican. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Hold on. Why is this keep happening? Sorry, I just got an alarm that went off. So I'm trying to see. Because I'm talking about how we bail on these stories as they happen. And it doesn't look important. It's a wildfire. Okay, very good. Well, not very good. Our thoughts are with the people in whatever county that was in New Mexico. Okay. Yeah, right? Okay, so definitely an incel says, I'm going to get this right, Gilk Work Orange. Gilk Work Orange. Look, I'm a Kubrick guy, so I'm going to go with Gilk Work Orange. I love it. All right. I don't think my son is an incel. But for a kid who seems to have all of the boxes checked, was a standout athlete, straight A's, a lot of friends, a lot of female friends. He doesn't seem my 17-year-old almost perfect son. Come on, I'm a dad. Just let me have it, okay? Roll your eyes. I get it. He doesn't have the amount of girlfriends. He doesn't go to the dances. Nobody does. And I have to kind of believe that because you know whether or not your kid is eating alone at lunch, right? You have a good indication of whether or not your kid is okay within his social clique in high school. And every indication says that he is. I mean, he has pool parties almost every weekend where there's 20 kids in his backyard. But take a fuddly kid like me in high school. I was fuddly, but I had charisma, or as the kids call today, Riz. Like I had girlfriends and stuff. Like I went to dances and I went to a lot of them were at other schools. I don't know why that was. I'd have to get into that in therapy. Well, actually, I do know how that was because you can be somebody else at another school. That was something I learned early on. Kevin and I learned that early on. We used to get to go to other school parties all the time because we were the cool kids from the other school. Even if we weren't necessarily the cool kids at our real school, when we went to the other school, we were, the advanced press was, these are the cool kids from that school. So that was nice. But like, even like a middling fud like myself, I don't know if it's just culturally different. Like, because he's having all kinds of other contact with girls, like their friends and stuff, like texting and, but they don't go to movies. They don't go to each other's houses. There are no basement parties that I'm aware of, right? Maybe I'm just dad in the dark, but I'm looking at this over the course of an entire high school career at this point in modern day America. And again, I don't think my kid is the paste eater, right? I don't think my kid is the 17-year-old who wets his pants or whatever. He doesn't get shoved in lockers. I mean, seriously, I'd like to see him try. I mean, he's a very... But his entire existence as a teenager is so completely different than mine. And we have these things now, incel culture. We have these things now, these radicalized, suddenly hateful. I mean, and I get it because nobody is more hateful than a teenage boy. Maybe a middle school girl. I think that is the exception. I think the middle school girl is the meanest creature on earth. But the dumbest and most aggressive is absolutely the late teen boy. That is the dumbest and most aggressive creature on earth. And thusly, maybe the most dangerous. And I look at this and I'm like, okay, well, one of the good things is when I was a dumb, aggressive moron at 18, 19, 20, we were out in the world mixing with the real world, right? I mean, we had to learn how to temper the being of an aggressive jerk-off moron and the hatefulness. And we learned, we grew up where, you separated the black neighborhood from the white neighborhood. But then at some point we started going to the black house clubs and going, we love it. Right? We had that transformation. They don't have that. When a 15-year-old decides that they're going to hate all Swedes, and let's use them as as an example of an ethnic group that I don't really got to worry about, saying whatever I want about. But let's say that a 16-year-old suddenly decides that he hates Swedes, right? Because somebody online was talking about, yeah, man, they don't even help us in wars, or whatever you're going to say about the Swedes. And he gets radicalized that way. He doesn't exist in a culture where he's going to suddenly find himself in a Swedish dance club going, I was wrong about these people. It is like this entire generation being cut off from the real fucking world is causing them to stay stunted with these horrible beliefs that teenagers are apt to believe in the first place. We learned by going out into the world. We learned by going off to college and having these experiences and being alone and being afraid and being able to adapt to that. That's how we became grown-ups. They're not doing that now. Hell, people aren't even going off to college anymore. There was talk about my kid who gets straight A's not going to a real college. And I'm not even saying I'm against it. Because what the hell is real college about in this country at this point? Just putting a kid $100,000 in debt before he's 22 years old? Are you nuts? So they're not even going to have that. They're just going to stay in their rooms with their screens, hating on the Swedes forever. I don't know. So yeah, man, the whole incel thing, man, Gilquirk Orange, it scares the shit out of me. I mean, do you have? It's part of being an incel, like, and he's not an incel. He doesn't hate women. He couldn't possibly hate women with me as his father. I mean, everything that he knows is about his, grandmother, who is this, like, avenger, this great, accomplished so much and given nothing, and oh, what an inspiration, right? So I know he's not that. I know he doesn't hate women. And I know he's not racist because he goes to Plano East, and his best friends, when they get together, they look like a freaking Benetton ad. He might be the only white kid. Yeah, I mean, if we're going by the way my grandpa would have defined it. Well, no, Dad. There's a Javi. He's Jewish. He's not white. A Jew isn't a white man, son. I'm sorry. No. But no, seriously, like his friend group is like completely multicultural, which is awesome. Anyway, I don't know. It is very concerning, though, these teenagers. So these two radicalized teenagers in San Diego, they decide that they're going to make a suicide pact because they think that the white race is doomed. Again, one of them isn't even white. So they decide that they're going to do a suicide pact, but first they're going to go and they're going to shoot up this, a mosque, because we hate those people, because those people whatever. Probably because they never got out of their room and had a fucking falafel. How about that? Jeez. Can't be outraged when this happens, at a synagogue. Can't be outraged when this happens, at a Christian church in Texas. Can't be outraged when it happens at any place like that. And then somehow not be as outraged because it happened at a mosque. Which is, I think, the way a lot of people kind of feel. Levels to, like, well, it's not as serious as if it had happened at a Baptist church outside Little Rock, right? It's still terrible. This hatred, this incel type, radicalized, there is no hope. And, maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to be optimistic, because maybe that's just something that we, the generation that grew up under the cloud of the Cold War, had to be. But maybe it's not all doom and gloom. But this generation, I mean, I've talked to my son, I mentioned it yesterday. This generation sees AI like the Nazis. This generation sees AI, or at least my son has been convinced that AI and the mainstreaming and the everyday usage of AI is the reason why he will never have a career in anything. And that's not specific to him. It's a lot of people of his generation feel this way. And this is why socialism is a very serious thing now in America. It is being considered now by entire generations under 50. Because they see what the next 30, 40 years of their lives are going to be like under this perverted version of capitalism we call American capitalism, where everybody is getting rich. It used to be a shame, these companies, they'd send the jobs overseas and they'd be embarrassed by it. Well, why is nobody seemingly embarrassed that they're just getting rid of jobs altogether? Replacing with robots and computers that can think for like 1,000 men. So these two kids, they buy into all of that, the hopelessness, and they decide that they're going to be radicalized. One of them was like a wrestler, which is interesting because I don't know if you've seen the picture there. It's floating around out there. He's a white pride guy. Here, I'll show you the picture of it, right? Okay, this is another thing. Very weird. Everybody seems to be a little bit all mixed up. All right, so here, I'm going to show you a picture here. This is the white pride kid. Hold on. I didn't want to give them their names, but let's call him Caitlin Clark. Yeah. Call him Caitlin Clark. No. All right, his name is not Caitlin Clark. It's something like that, though. It's Kane Clark. That's what it is. Yeah, Kane Clark. All right, so let me show you this. Look at him. All right, here he is. Sorry, New York Post going to want to get their pop-ups in there. All right. All right, are you looking at him? Apparently, he's a pretty good little wrestler. Kane Clark right here. Kane Clark died for white pride. Kane Clark left scrawlings in the car. Police found, anti-whatever. They found white pride shit stickers on the gun. And They had a gas can with a big SS insignia on it. So, it's pretty clear that these kids were radicalized. And the kid apparently wrote extensively, this kid here, about white pride and about how he was going to end his life because the white man in white culture had been completely destroyed. So here's a picture of him, the kid who thinks that, wearing cornrows, running around defending white pride with his Mexican friend. So, yeah, I mean, look, kids are, love your kids, man. If you got a teenager who is growing up in 2026, sometimes I think, maybe it's great that we keep them locked up in their bedrooms. Maybe that's great. Because honestly, the streets of 2026 do not seem as secure as the streets of 1986, at least not to me. Everybody's got a gun. Everybody's justified in shooting everybody else. Hate. Everybody just hate you. Hate is everywhere. Who did this? Ask yourself that. When did this fucking start? I'll tell you when it started. Have you seen this conversation? Have you seen this conversation? It's been asked a lot. When did it all start? I'll tell you exactly when it all started. It started when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. That's when everything started to go into the toilet. Check the dates if you think I'm just being a... Chicago Cubs win the World Series. 3 days later, Donald Trump is elected president. Yeah, it all started to get fucked up from there. The signs were there. The Cubs winning the World Series was a clear-cut sign that the end of days was coming. It's just not happening as quickly as I think we'd all imagined, right? Didn't we think the end of days would be like, an evening? Like we'd have the whole day and then like around 6 o'clock shit would get weird and by 8 o'clock it would all be gone. Isn't that how we think of end of days? No. Apparently it's going to be like a 15-year process here in America. All right. Let me give you the latest on this story. Here we go. Again, the two shooters. San Diego Mosque shooter Kane Clark has been identified as the former high school wrestler. The alleged gunman, we're going to talk about Kane here. The alleged gunman, 17-year-old Kane Clark. He was out there, of course, with 18-year-old Caleb Vasquez. Famous white pride warrior Caleb Vasquez. Sorry, Velazquez. It's even more difficult for a white man to say. I am not a racist. I'm just pointing out that, I'm not, look, as I always say, no judgment, but observing, just observing. Let's see here. According, at least one of the suspects took a weapon from his parents' home and left a suicide note that talked about racial pride. This, according to law enforcement. Clark here, I guess we're not showing Clark. Clark here with the cornrows attended Madison High School and was a standout wrestler, according to the school's social media page. His grandfather, David Clark, 78, said, quote now from Grandpa, "We're very sorry for what happened. We know as much as you do. It's all a shock." Grandpa, man. Grandpa probably never did a damn thing wrong in his life. And now he's 78 years old. And now this. Oh, man. Keep a good thought for Grandpa. Don't, look, this kid. Oh, yeah, Pugs, he's a monster. Yeah, there's something wrong with these kids. He's not a 40-year-old monster who's given up. He's a kid. Nobody got to these kids in time. These kids made these decisions. They've been radicalized, and nobody got to these kids in time. Anti-Islamic writings were found in the suspects. I mean, do you have any idea what the next 24 hours of my kid's life would be like if I found anti-Islamic writings in a notebook? I mean, it would be long conversations. We'd end up visiting a mosque. I'd take him up to the corner to talk to Noni. I mean, it would be heartbreaking. And you're telling me that there are, kids having these thoughts in America and the parents aren't recognizing it? Or is it a situation with parents? And by the way, let me just state right here, my son has a mother and a stepfather who are incredible. They are really good. I mean, just look at this kid so far. Incredible. And I sit here as the part-time dad, bio dad. I sit here and I say these things, and I want to make sure that the context is there. All credit for my son goes to his mother, all of it, and his grandmother to a large extent. If we're going to try and give me any credit at all. But if something like that were to sneak, like if I were to look at his phone and like see text messages where he's like, yeah, these damn Muslims. I mean, my God, it would be like, all right, kiddo, we are unplugging from everything, and you and I are gonna go Stockholm syndrome for like the next however, because you are not biologically my kid. If this is honestly the way you're going to look at the world. There are assholes that need to be appropriately identified. And if you're looking too hard at one group alone, you're doing yourself a disservice. Don't just be looking at them assholes. No, there's assholes everywhere. And you know what? Point them out one at a time, and I may or may not agree with you. All right. Let's see. Clark and Velasquez were found dead inside a BMW from self-inflicted gunshot wounds, only a few blocks from the Islamic Center there in San Diego. Anti-Islamic writings were found in the suspect's vehicle, and hate speech was written on the firearms used in the shooting, according to a source. A shotgun and a gas can with an SS sticker on the side were located at the scene where the gunmen's bodies were discovered. Can I just point something out here? They killed themselves in their Beamer SUV. A couple of white pride warriors, one with cornrows, one's last name was Velasquez, and they killed themselves in their BMW SUV. Man, if the red flags aren't going up, how do you easily classify this? These are obviously kids from some level of privilege. I mean, it's one thing to be able to afford to grow up in Southern California. It's quite another to also have an SUV at your disposal at 15. That's horrifying. Well, it's the parents. They're always working and they're not paying attention. And I look at my son, and I don't want to call his reliance upon digital media and screens and all that. I don't want to call it an addiction, but it's certainly a habit, and it's certainly something that has been normalized in his everyday life. But I don't know. And you know what? I know Adam's got kids who are growing up, and I know some people in the chat room also have kids sort of the same age who grew up at the same time. I'll tell you, when my kid was 2-3 years old, shoving an iPad in his hand to shut him up was something I did all the time. So what we didn't know, right? That's like, back in the pioneer days when a baby was crying, the mom would give it a cigarette. Right? Like that. We didn't know any better. We trained these kids to be completely dependent on visual digital stimulation. And now we're seeing the result. That's why we need to treat our kids special. This generation is special. This generation is the canary in the coal mine that is going to dictate how all future generations experience digital media and have access to the internet. Our kids, canaries in the coal mine. Sometimes, that canary dies, like in the situation here. Police revealed that around 9:42 a.m. yesterday morning, they'd received a call of a runaway juvenile from a concerned mother. After speaking with the mom, police began to elevate the level of threat. Bunch of pictures. This is page 6 or New York Post, I should say. It's a newspaper for stupid people. It's not like a real. It's a lot of pictures. It's like I'm losing interest with all the words. Show me a picture. So, excuse me. Although I do like reading it because it's got the most explicit details, which serve my purpose here as a streamer. The mom said that her son was with a companion and that they were dressed in camo. The police would not clarify whether the missing person was involved in the shooting, though most of the details lined up with what the Post was able to find out. All right, here's the other kid. Yeah, we'll show you this. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Look at this kid. This is the same kid with the cornrows. Look at that. That's the same kid. This is the Kane Clark kid. I got to be honest with you. I'm even more, this is a good looking kid. This is a kid who back in, 1986, he would have had chicks. Look, he's a wrestler. He looks good. Man, it's horrifying. It's like when the straight A prom queen ends up dead of a fentanyl overdose. It's horrifying being a parent in 2026. Who would have, this guy, I just said the parent should have. I was going to ask, who would have thought this kid right here with his swarthy hair and his Mediterranean looks would be a warrior willing to die for white pride? It's just weird. Maybe there's some more pictures here. Let's see. God, he's a good-looking kid. What a shame. What an absolute shame. All right, and the victims, of course. Here's some of the evidence that they found. There's the BMW where they killed themselves. You can see the gas can clearly with the SS markings. They were enthusiasts of some kind of white pride. That goes without question. All right. Again, 3 men lost their lives defending their mosque because 2 idiot privileged kids were somehow radicalized into thinking that their culture was under attack. Look in the mirror, cornrow boy. Look in the mirror. None of it makes any sense anymore. All right, let's see. Let's continue on. What is the next story we're going to do? And look, I know I said that I was going to draw it into the comparison with the story from Sunday and Saturday that happened in Austin where those 2 teenage boys. But again, we talked about that yesterday. 2 days in a row. A couple of 15 to 19-year-olds just go on a rampage in America. Again, horrifying as the father of a 17-year-old boy. Horrifying as the father of a 17-year-old good boy. Like, my kid is good. At least I tell myself that. All right. The other good story that is capturing everyone's attention tonight is what's going on in Kentucky specifically. There's a couple of elections, referendums on Trump's influence is what, they're trying to say, but who knows? Whatever. Tune that out. What is interesting is the situation that is facing Representative Massie down there in Thomas Massie down there in Kentucky. Thomas Massie is a guy who checks every box that an America First far-right Republican congressman from Kentucky would need to check. All but one box. He's unwilling to drop this whole Epstein thing. So don't kid yourself about what's going on with the whole Thomas Massie thing. This is a referendum on Epstein, not Massie. President Trump has circled the wagons supporting this other candidate who is challenging Massie. And again, why is he challenging Massie, who is otherwise a really good conservative? And, I think Massie's probably principled. I think that, if I disagree with Massie on some of his worldviews, or if maybe, he and I have different idealistic ways of looking at problems. I still respect that he's being honest, like he's being truthful. Like Robert Massie does seem to be principled. I might think he's wrong on some things, but I don't think he's wrong for pay or wrong because of the reason that I think so many others are wrong because they're being influenced by dark money, but not going to talk about that. But Thomas Massie seems to be legitimately principled. And he is not going to let the Epstein thing die. And Trump wants nothing more than for all of us to just go, okay, whatever, and move on. He is banking on the fact that he thinks we are little minds, tiny brains who can be distracted and to forget about this. And guess what? He's right. And it is working. And if Thomas Massie loses tonight in Kentucky, shame on the people of Kentucky, but also shame on us because that's not just specifically about Kentucky. It's about the rest of the Republican Party or MAGA being okay with this kind of thing, where if one of them breaks, I don't know if, honestly, I shouldn't say if one of them breaks on anything from Trump that they're suddenly, a monster. Although look at what's happening to Boebert right now. I don't want to say if it's anything, but specifically, what's being said in MAGA is you either shut the fuck up about Epstein or this is what's going to happen to you. It's clear as day. Not some libtard out here, going like, here's the great conspiracy. No, this is clear as fucking day. Thomas Massie's whole thing that's got him sideways with Trump, the only thing, well, the Iran war too, but the only thing is that Massie wants answers on what happened with these little girls and these super powerful elite men. That's what he wants answers to. That is exactly what I thought 99.9% of all Americans wanted. That was one of the unifying things. All right, I hate MAGA, but you know what? I'm glad to see that we're all wanting to get to the bottom of this Epstein thing. That was it. And you have chugged the Kool-Aid to the extent that you're just accepting of all of this. You see what's happening with Thomas Massie, the guy who wants to keep talking about Epstein. You are seeing what the president of the United States is doing to a guy who voted with him 9 out of 10 times on everything simply because of the fucking Epstein stuff. The president of the United States should be like, let's honestly, I'm sorry. Yeah, these are the circles that I swam in New York City. These are all bad people. I'm going to distance my, this has gone on long enough. That's what he should do, but he won't because all of those people bolster him financially. It's a whole horrible thing that's going on. And Thomas Massie is one of the only people who is willing to put his entire career on the line, which is a nice way to say it, but I don't think it's necessarily true. More on that in a second. Thomas Massie is the guy standing up here going, wait, we're not moving on from Epstein. And Trump's going, we're moving on from you. So that's why this is so dramatic. If he wins, God bless the people of Kentucky. God bless the people of Kentucky. But if he loses, that's a referendum on all of us in this country, that other Republicans, other powerful Republicans who are MAGA aligned, just sat by and let this happen to one of them. And they know why. I mean, again, I point to Boebert. Boebert, who's like, I love Donald Trump. She's like on her knees, unzipping his pants. And Trump's like, yeah, but you support Massie. You're gone. You're a dumb whore. And people are like, yay, that's our guy. That's our guy. I mean, come on, man. It's weird. It's weird. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm starting to think. I'm starting to think you people don't really have a problem with pedophilia. I think you people used it as a cudgel because it is an incredibly, it's one of those things that morally speaking is one of the worst things you can do. So I think that's what it was. I think you guys were like, hey, I think being called a pedophile is a bad thing. So let's call everybody pedophiles. I don't really think it's a bad thing, though, because I myself am a pedophile, but we'll just call everybody a pedophile. Was that what was going on? Are we realizing right now that in America, the thing that we all thought we had in common, that pedophiles were bad and we needed to hunt them all down, that whole thing was a lie because 90% of us are like, well, whatever, it happens. No less a person than Megyn Kelly going, well, 12 and 13 is different than 4 and 5. Who are we? Who are they trying to make us? More to the point, thank you. Hey. So the Thomas Massie thing is going to be real exciting today. Here's something that was exciting yesterday, although, man, I don't even know how to feel about this because y'all know my feelings on Elon. I'm not a big fan of Elon. Y'all know that's not entirely true as well. I'm a big fan of Spaceman, Elon. Spaceman. I love all that shit, man. Why can't he just stay out of the horrible shit? Why can't he just stay off social media and honestly just work on getting us to Mars, please? But other than that, I think Elon might be one of the most dangerous people that was ever placed on Earth. I don't know. I think he's dangerous because he does have so much power, because he has power because of his wealth. He is obviously the richest man on the planet. Now, this is why it's interesting. He spent the last 3 weeks in court there suing his arch nemesis, a guy by the name of Sam Altman. Now, who is Sam Altman? Certainly not the household name that Elon Musk is, but he will be. Don't worry. Sam Altman is Elon Musk in 2003. Okay? You just wait. Sam Altman is about to become the wealthiest man on the planet. Sam Altman is about to become like an instant trillionaire. He's going to leave Elon in the dust. And Elon knows that. Elon don't like that because Sam used to be a little protege of Elon Musk back in the day. Sam Altman runs a company called Chat. Well, the company that runs Chat GPT is what we're familiar with. So, but it's about the parent company called OpenAI, right? So a bunch of years ago, Elon Musk and Sam Altman and some other people, but they're the two principal players. They got together and they had this idea that they were going to create AI that was free and open to the public, and anybody could utilize all that AI has to offer. The stated reason for this was the creation of OpenAI all those years ago. The stated reason for this was that they believed that AI was such a powerful thing that no one man should be able to control it. So we're going to make it open so that the whole world can, it was that whole thing. It was that thing. And at the time, probably a very nice thought. And a lot of people were like, oh, cool. That sounds like the way it should be done. As it turned out, that wasn't exactly the way OpenAI played out, because very shortly after that, OpenAI realized that, hey, we could actually make some really big money off of this if we, So they created what we now call Chat GPT. That's like the big one. And it's worth a lot of money. And Sam Altman is riding that thing. It is a nonprofit no more. Okay? Now, when they made the move to ChatGPT, when they decided that this whole OSHA, this OpenAI hippy-dippy bullshit about making it available, sure, we'll make it available, but also we're going to do the better stuff, and we're going to call it ChatGPT, and we're going to charge people for it. And Elon Musk was like, great idea, put me in charge, and they said, fuck off. So understand that when OpenAI made their move to a for-profit ChatGPT system in violation of the stated goal of the company, which was to offer free to everyone AI technology, Elon Musk then wanted to be put in charge of the money-making aspect. And they said, no, you can't. So he quit in a tantrum and immediately said, I walked because they violated the principles of the founding. And that's what this court case is all about. This court case has been going on in California for 3 weeks. Elon Musk suing his former partner there, Sam Altman, the guy who was a couple of, I don't know, could be weeks, just away from blowing past him as the wealthiest man on the planet. So he's taking Sam Altman to court because Sam Altman is a fraud who started this whole thing as a nonprofit and then turned it to a profit and then edged out Elon. That was what Elon was claiming. The judge threw it out yesterday. The judge was like, what? Not well. Actually, he didn't throw it out. Let me give you exactly what the decision was. But it was basically a technicality, right? Okay. All right. So here's how it went down in the story. OpenAI was established back in 2015 as a nonprofit aiming to create advanced AI for the benefit of humanity, a mission born out of a shared concern among the founders, Musk and Altman, about the potential negative consequences of AI being controlled by any one person or for-profit company. By 2017, 2 years after the founding, the founders were convinced they needed to set up a for-profit arm of OpenAI to raise money and attract researchers in order to be competitive. Musk wanted control of this new for-profit arm, but the others disagreed. And he left the board in 2018. All right, so there you have it. That's what happened. His ego, I want to be in charge. Like, you're not going to be in charge. And so he's like, yeah, going home. So that's what it was. And now he's suing. He's suing for a different reason. Okay. In court, Elon claimed that Altman stole a charity by creating a for-profit entry that became, in Elon's own words, the main thing over at OpenAI. Lawyers for OpenAI argued that Musk, in fact, supported the creation of a for-profit subsidiary with the goal of attracting big investments. OpenAI attorneys argued that rather than being motivated by a commitment to OpenAI's original mission, Musk was unhappy that it did so well without him. All right, so that's what they said. They said, look, he's just crying because when he walked away, we turned it into this $1 trillion behemoth. He's being a bitch, is basically what OpenAI's argument was in court. Let's see here. Lawyers for OpenAI argued that Musk, in fact, supported the creation of the for-profit subsidiary with the goal of attracting big investments. They argued that rather than being motivated by a commitment to OpenAI's original mission, Musk was unhappy that it did so without him. Musk launched XAI, which I guess we know as Grok, a for-profit AI company, and OpenAI's lawyers said his lawsuit was an attempt to hurt their competition. All right. And the judge basically threw it out on the technicality that apparently all of this fell beyond the statute of limitations, and so it's not a worthy court case. So, okay, so that's how it ended. So, as I said, Elon Musk, he lost. Because it was such a bitchy complaint. Just such a nuisance lawsuit, right? Musk needed, a couple of things to do for the last 3 weeks in Southern California, and he doesn't give a fuck about how many lawyers he's got to pay for nuisance lawsuits. He was all in because he thought he might be able to embarrass his competitor, might be able to embarrass the guy that's going to blow past him as the world's most influential and wealthy man. And that's why I say I don't know if there's any winners, because Sam Altman isn't a good guy either. But that's what happened yesterday there in Southern California. So if you dislike non-rocket boy Elon Musk, well then, congratulations, because he had a bad day yesterday. All right, let's check in with Dalton Easterling, whatever the dude's name is, Chud the Builder. Chud the Builder, he's been in the news the last few days. I'm fascinated by this. Man, wouldn't it be, I hope I don't think there would be. Wait, where did this happen? Tennessee, right? This is all in Tennessee. Okay. They have cameras in the courtroom in Tennessee. The Chud the Builder trial. If that was televised, man. Oh, they just trot out people. This is Jasper Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins, tell me about your interaction with Chud the Builder. Well, I was just sitting outside my favorite liquor store, and this boy walked on up and started shouting the N-word at me. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. You're dismissed. I mean, that trial is going to be amazing. It'll be great. Well, sadly, I don't think they have cameras in Kentucky. I don't think cameras, or Tennessee, I don't think cameras have been invented yet in Tennessee. That's why. It's not that they have a law against it. I think it's still like 1850 down there. All right, so Chud the Builder had an arraignment. He's got another one tomorrow, I think, or is it the day after tomorrow? It might be the day after tomorrow. I think it's May the 21st. That's going to be a bail hearing where we're going to find out officially how much it's going to take to get his ass out of jail. The judge on Friday of last week gave a temporary bail order of $1.25 million. Hey! That's good. That's good. If you want to lay your head on the pillow tonight and find something that'll soothe you into the best night's sleep ever, you're going to want to imagine Chud the Builder in county lockup. That's seriously the way I've been falling asleep. Get my head all comfortable, close my eyes, clear the mind, and then I just go, well, what do you think Chud's doing right now? And then you just start imagining it, and before you know it, that's right. I find prison abuse. I find prison abuse to be soothing. Well, in the case of Chud the Builder, anyway. Look, I know he's probably an isolated, but what? He's not showering? Well, he's not. Well, I guess maybe the showers will be isolated too. I don't know how it all works, as I'm not a criminal. But hey, what's it pay? What's it pay, and who are the victims? Because I don't want to victimize people who don't deserve to be victimized. But I am willing to do almost anything for money. Oh, by the way, because I just thought, hey, gay for pay, why not? I wanted to mention this really quick before we get back into the Chud the Builder story. So last night, I'm starting to fight again on Twitter because I'm a blue check now, and I just want to see if there's any difference in response and all that stuff. So I'm starting to mix it up with people there on Twitter. And somebody said to me yesterday, like, it was about it was about the PCA and White Sox fan thing, and I'd made a comment about the interaction, and somebody commented on my comment with, "Take it easy. She's not gonna fuck you." Right? That was the response. And I'm like, what? That's a weird response. Nobody was sexualizing her. My comment was about, but this commenter was like, he thought I was being, a simp for her. So I was just like, I looked at it. I went, how the fuck do I respond to that? So I just responded, I'm gay. I'm like, I don't care. Just put it out there. I just blue checked myself with the, yeah, I'm gay. He said nothing. There was nothing. We're like 20 hours in. I just checked before we went on. I want to see if that just completely shut him down. Like, he didn't know how to respond to that. I'm not gay, by the way. If any of you saw that on Twitter last night and were like, hey, did Pugs come out as gay? I mean, I wasn't really concerned about it because honestly, I think that people thought I was gay. That might make me more interesting. That might work. I mean, the plumbing wouldn't work. I don't think I'd be able to contact. I really don't. That's what I always say about. I don't know how guys in prison do that. Like, how is that why they got to dress Chud up in a wig and stuff and put makeup on? It's still not gonna work. I'm not gonna become erect for an ugly woman just because you've put makeup on her, or an ugly man for that matter. That's even worse. I don't know. I think anybody who does that. I think anybody who does that is probably, gay. I think that if you can have sex, if you can rape another man in prison, like maybe it's the aggression and the violence that's making him I don't know. I don't want to know. Let's move on. Anyway, Chud the Builder, he certainly can't move on because, as I said, he's got a $1.25 million temporary bail. The actual bond hearing is set for 2 days from today, so we'll find out whether it'll be lowered or uppered. Here's the thing. I told y'all about the money situation, right? Like, all the world's worst people are apparently donating money to help Chud the Builder, and it was up over $1 million. It was like over $1 million. It was crazy amount. But apparently there's problems with that. Like, there's a whole bunch of like government entities that are saying, we're going to challenge that. So they're making it so that he can't get that money. Like, not right away anyway. They're going to tie that shit up in court. Let 5 rounds of, circuit judges decide that, this either is or isn't a thing, but they're going to run that into the ground. So he doesn't have access to it. So Chud the Builder is desperate. Even if he gets, a manageable bond on Thursday or Wednesday, whenever he's got his court case, even if he gets a manageable bond, he's not going to be able to afford it. And he knows that. So he's reaching out to other people, other influencers, other, despicable characters who are famous on the web. Aiden Ross is one such individual. Aiden Ross is one of these, 20-year-old kids with 15 Lamborghinis and a house on Star Island in Miami. And, he's got all the answers. And who are we to argue with him? I stream and shake a tin cup. So, but Aiden Ross, who's another one of these influential people, you're forgiven for not knowing who that is, because I don't know who it is either. It's like, I'm old enough to be his dad. So Chud the Builder apparently reached out to Aiden Ross. And by the way, Aiden Ross has said he's released, that he is not helping Chud the Builder. We'll see. In fact, Aiden Ross has publicly rejected requests to pay Dalton Etherly, known as Chud the Builder's $1.25 million bond, explicitly stating on streams that he would not provide financial assistance or bail to Chud the Builder. All right. That's what Aiden Ross has said. And then he, I guess, immediately made the recorded plea for help from Chud the Builder public, which these people are snakes. You think they're your friends? Oh, my God. All right, so here it is. Here's Chud the Builder looking for just a little bit of help from his buddy in assholery, Aiden Ross. Here we go. Which Aiden Ross made public for clicks.
Miss Dalton. Listen, Aiden. Miss Dalton. Chud. If you can get me out, help with the bond. I cannot access my funds until I get out of here because no one...
Hold on. We're going to do this again. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it louder.
Listen, Aiden. Miss Dalton. Chud. If you can get me out, help with the bond. I cannot access my funds until I get out of here because no one has access to any of my gifts in Go or my crypto wallets, etc. I have to get out of here so that I can get verification processes to get into all of these funds. I will fight for free. If you can help me out to post bail, I will fight for free. We'll do whatever it is you want to do, bro. I need somebody with big money who can throw down, who can support me.
All right, there you have it. You know, I'll tell you.
Listen, Aiden, Miss Dalton, Chud.
I'm not against making that my ringtone. That's dude, what is your ringtone? It's Chud the Builder begging for bail money. Oh my God. All right, Chud. All right, Chud. Good on you, Chud. Good on you. All right, now let's good on Chud. No, not good on Chud. Good on Aiden Ross for rejecting Chud's plea for help. All right, here we go. Here we go. Excuse me, got an itch on my face. Been talking a lot of shit the last 48 hours about Paul Christian Anderson, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. He got into a very high-profile sports fight with a fan over the weekend. The fan who represents my fandom, the Khaleesi of Comiskey. She was just there. She's just getting engaged. By the way, her boyfriend that she got engaged to, Cub fan. Oh, so many interesting things about that situation. Anyway, she's there. I played you the video yesterday. So she's there in like a bar that is attached to the outfield at the White Sox Park. And PCA missed a home run ball. Was it a home run ball or I think it was off the wall? Anyway, he jumped, he missed it. PCA is a fantastic defender, one of the best center fielders in all of baseball. So this was just one he missed. Okay, you move on because you've seen him make incredible plays over and over again. Anyway, he misjudged the ball. The ball went off the wall. The White Sox scored runs. They took the lead. PCA didn't immediately hustle. I pointed this out yesterday. He just sat there, sprawled out in the outfield, pouting like a little leaguer. Another indication that, you know, emotional maturity is something that this incredible budding superstar should work on. And then when he got up, this woman, the Khaleesi of Comiskey, she started John at him. You suck. Ha ha. You suck. Whatever it is. The stuff that fans say. The stuff that we completely... I'm not going to say are okay with because we don't all sit in the stands and go, you fucking suck. But the idea that people do is not obscene to us. It is normalized in baseball culture. Go back to the minor leagues. Hey, bada, 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 hey, bada, bada. It's a part of baseball. So when this woman, the Khaleesi, is like, yeah, you suck, which is all she said, regardless of what Cub people are trying to say. She said, we've got it all on video, man. We hear what she says. She says, you suck. And then he says, you know, he went nuclear. You know, but PCA went nuclear. Fan goes, you suck. And he goes, yeah, how about you suck my big... He said it. He said, how about you suck my BFD? A superstar. It's a superstar for the Disney team. Right? In one of the biggest showcase games in the city. You know, he's telling the women of the city to just shut up and suck his BFD, right? That's not good. It's not good for the brand of a PCA. So anyway, there has been back and forth. A lot of people. I mean, here, this is just one example of how Chicago media was talking about it. This came WGN, no less a source on Chicago media and Chicago comings and goings than WGN. This is what's called the Sports Office, which is a WGN show that they do every night. It features Jared Payton, yeah, the son of Walter. We like Jared. Jared's one of our big media stars. We love Jared. Features Jared and a couple of other people who are not related to Walter Payton, but they discuss this. So let's listen to their takes on the whole PCA situation, and then we're going to put it to bed.
I love that, and I don't want PCA to change that side of it.
No.
Because I think there needs to be more of that passion, fire, swag, especially in the sport of baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you need that. Like,
Well, guess what? I think this is, and I lost my train of thought. So I think he regrets saying what he said, but I also believe, though, that he said he doesn't really have social media like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's hearing about it. I don't think he wants this type of attention.
No.
And I think that's what.
I'm sure Caleb Williams was like, yo, Pete.
Caleb's definitely on
Did
social
you
media.
see this?
Yeah, like, yo,
maybe,
bro.
maybe he
say?
texted it to him.
Yeah, he probably
Hey.
texted to him right away, like, hey, bro, what'd she say to you? Hashtag keep it clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's feeling it from the people that are on the social media, that live in this world, people that are probably close to him, that have seen it 100 times, and they're all like, yo. They probably are on his side, but they're also bringing it up. And I think he, as a guy that plays on the edge, that plays the way that he plays, I think he doesn't want this type of attention. He wants to be able to focus in on what he needs to be focused in. I think he's a ball player. He loves the game. And so this takes away from that. It takes away from his team. I don't think he really wants that. And I don't think he wants it associated with his name either.
All right. So there you have it. There is some people try to play both sides. You know, if you're on the White Sox side, he's the worst person ever. And if you're on the Cubs side, she's typical South Side whore, right? But the reality is that it's more nuanced than that. And so as I said, for the last 48 hours, I've been pretty much involved in the war with PCA. You know, now we know what kind of person he is. Now we know in 15 years, when he puts his wife's head through the wall and the police walk him in cuffs, we're all going to go, well, we know how he treats women, right? That's me. That's been me the last couple of days. So now we're going to put it to bed. Okay, so here's the truth about PCA. PCA is a young kid. He's an immensely talented young kid. He has been embraced by Cub fans and the city for the most part in a way that very few athletes have ever enjoyed in this city. PCA, this is where the ire of the Sox fan comes from for PCA. We don't even dislike the kid. It's the way Cub fans talk about him that make us go, would you guys just tap the brakes for a minute here? You know, we're talking about a Chicago Cub. Tap the freaking brakes. All right. So that's always been kind of the sticking point with PCA. But let me tell you what the honest observation is. This kid is a perfect superstar. This kid, there isn't a kid that he doesn't take a picture with. There is the lines of kids. He is so incredibly good in the community with the local. Kids have posters of him. Now PCA, and they mentioned it there in that clip, PCA's running around town with Mattis Bucelis and Caleb Williams. Could you imagine being those three guys in the summer in Chicago? Caleb Williams, Mattis Bucelis of the Chicago Bulls, who's a very bright, young, emerging star, and PCA. We should celebrate all of these guys. He's an incredibly... He's a wonderful icon for Chicago sports. And he's a wonderful icon for the Chicago Cubs because he's a white guy. All right, bit of a backhand there, but yeah, it's true. Cubs love to embrace their white guys. They demonize their black guys. Sammy Sosa, one of the greatest Cubs in history. But no, they're going to tell you about Ron Santo until you die. All right. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I like to poke fun at the Cubs, and any opportunity that I get to say something negative about them, there you are. But let's not. Let's talk about PCA, because PCA is a great guy. He seems like he seems like a dumb kid, but he seems like a good kid. You know, like my kid is a dumb kid. Like my kid, you know, does things and says things, and you know, funniest thing in the world is somebody getting kicked in the nuts, right? Okay, so that's fine. That's what a young kid in their 20s in 2026 is probably like. So I went a little hard on PCA because he had a moment of weakness. Because he lost the shit on a girl. And you can't lose your shit on a girl when you're PCA in Chicago in 2026. Because you're going to be at a bunch of schools on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And, you know, now everybody's like, hey, will you sign my shirt that says suck my DP? You know, you can't have that associated with the brand. Which is why in that clip that I just played for you, they made the joke that I bet Caleb texted him. I bet Caleb was like, hey, dude, you got to cool this. You got to get in front of this. So here's how we end it. PCA finally addressed this whole thing in more than the way that he did after the game, where it was, she talks shit and I talk shit back, right? That's the way that we had heard all day yesterday, him addressing the situation. Didn't help things. However, yesterday he did have an opportunity to talk about it again. And let's listen to what PCA says after, again, about 24 hours, emotions being cooled. Everything I just told you about PCA, right? The brand, the good kid, posters on all these kids' walls. So here's how he responded. This was PCA yesterday.
If you're going to go and open your mouth like that, I think you should probably expect, I mean, I saw the cameras in my face. It's not like I didn't. I think I just regret my choice of words the most and who that affects in my life. I don't think that any of the women in my life would ever think that I would use those kind of words regularly, especially referring to them. So I'm just bummed out of the word choice, about the word choice.
All right, I want to go back to something really quick here in the beginning, just because I think it needs a little bit of context, because it can be taken out of context. What he is talking about here, the first thing he is talking about is not her. Like it can be interpreted that, oh, he started out by saying, yeah, well, if she's going to run her mouth like that. No, he's talking about himself. He's talking about himself responding. He's not talking to her at all or about her at all, which I think is really important. Here we go.
That a bunch of little kids going probably.
Oh, wait, here.
If you're going to go and open your mouth like that, I think you should probably expect.
So he's talking about himself. If you're going to go and open your mouth like that, I think you should probably expect a certain amount of public backlash, is what he's getting into.
I saw the cameras in my face. It's not like I didn't. I think I just regret my choice of words the most and who that affects in my life. I don't think that any of the women in my life would ever think that I would use those kind of words regularly, especially referring to them. So I'm just bummed out of the word choice, about the word choice, and that a bunch of little kids go and probably find their way to social media and see that as well. I am intense on the field, and in a moment like that, I think I just let it get away from me a little bit. But again, poor word choice, lack of awareness too when it comes to who's watching me. So I don't want to represent the other guys in this clubhouse that way, because mostly everybody in here is the opposite of that. If you're going to go and...
All right, there you have it. And that's why we're putting it to bed. That was absolutely perfect. That was absolutely perfect from that kid. Now let's move on. Let's move on, because a lot of us have these moments of weakness where we just pop off, okay? And I don't think it necessarily should stain us forever. Oh my God, he got really mad and said that thing to that woman. He must be the kind of person that says that to a woman. Now, if he hadn't said what he just said there, if he hadn't been contrite and understood and been like, yeah, man, I think about the women in my life and I can't be going around saying that. I got kids watching me. That tells me that he understands. So that's fine. So we forgive and we move on. And we wish PCA the Hall of Fame career that a bunch of delusional Cub fans think he's going to get. But I do want to also draw attention to one more thing, because the White Sox fan in me will not let me just leave it alone. I do want to draw attention to one more thing. And that is, in that clip that we just heard from PCA, he is making no excuses for what he says. He is admitting, he knows. You can't just respond to a woman you don't know with "suck my FD bitch." You can't. It's just not how it works in society. People, that's how bar fights start. That's how a husband reaches across the table and cracks a stranger for saying something like that to a woman that he doesn't know. You just don't do it. Maybe you do in the heat of battle when you're a kid like that and you're really upset and you're not thinking it all through. But the fact of the matter is that after like 24 hours or whatever, he did think it through. And he realized it was wrong. And he went in front of the cameras and he said exactly why it's wrong. So case closed. Now let's turn to the Cub fans. To all the Cub fans who went on record as not having a problem with a man saying to a woman, "Suck my feather, man." Yeah. So many of you Cub fans couldn't say, "Well, that was terrible." But you know what? So many of you Cub fans went the other way. What you did was you didn't do anything wrong. That's perfectly fine. If the dumb cunt's going to fucking run her mouth. Like, that was so many of the Cub fans' response to it. And it reminded me of a former Blackhawks player by the name of Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane's beloved in this city. Now I'm not a big hockey fan, so maybe I'm not the best judge of this, but I do live in the city and I do know the power of Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane's entire career, he was like a nonstop crazy party boy. He did some things. I don't know what he did. He did some things. He was probably a jackass. I have partied with enough professional hockey players over the years to know that they go harder than any other athlete in the world. Hockey players are the only ones that don't think alcohol is bad for you. They're the only ones who think that you play better when you're drunk. Patrick Kane did stuff. Patrick Kane did some bad stuff. Patrick Kane was probably a jerk off, 1:30 in the morning at a club, and some shit. But when Patrick Kane got in trouble time and time again, women are like, yeah, he grabbed me, or yeah, he locked me in a room, and he tried to make out with me. When all that shit went on with Patrick Kane, I'm watching it going, yeah, that's probably totally true. He probably needs to be checked a little. Somebody needs to tell Patrick Kane that, yes, you are a god in this city, but there are rules. And he had a bit of a drinking problem. So, okay, if you want to say, well, he was drunk and aggressive with women, fine. But it's still a big problem, and it needs to be called out. And I remember back then just really reasonable and logical people that I knew would say, those bitches are all just trying to trap these guys. And then 3 weeks later, it would happen again to the same guy. I'm like, it's like Ben Roethlisberger and Steelers fans. It's like that chick that he pinned in the shitter in that Altoona bar wanted it. Listen to what you're saying. People do bad things. People do bad things. When they accept that they've done a bad thing and they seem contrite and authentic, as PCA just did there, we forgive, we move on. We move on. So that is why we're going to put the whole PCA thing to bed. However, I will tell you this. Yeah, this is this whole thing now because, we're going to have to go to Wrigley and play them for 3 games. So there's just like a whole thing now that one of the White Sox is going to be demonized. People are like, yeah, we're going to give Mooney hell. Like we White Sox fans are like, you're not going to want to do that. There's going to be no traction. You're gonna go Munetaka Murakami. You're gonna like just be mean to him. Nobody wants to be mean to that guy. That's not like PCA. PCA, he called a woman he said S my BFD. PCA did that. You think Mooney's gonna like trigger something like that? He doesn't even speak English, and he's a big jolly panda who's just silly. That's, he doesn't speak English. So he communicates with like smiles and silliness. Go ahead, Cub fans. Go ahead. Be mean to Mooney. Go ahead. Kick the pretty little panda. Well, go ahead. Why? Why would you do that? I don't know. They'll probably go after Colston Montgomery. But again, why? He's like, milk. He's just like a glass of milk, Colston Montgomery. There you go. Find a reason to be mean to a glass of milk. The guy the Cubs are going to want to target is going to be Sammy Antonacci. Sammy the Ant. He's one of the biggest assholes in baseball, and I love him. All right, anyway, moving on. What else do we have? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, did you guys see this? Did we watch this video? This is a pretty incredible video. This was going around viral. Everybody saw it. It happened on Sunday, I guess, at an air show somewhere where two military planes that were performing a stunt ended up colliding in midair. I've seen a whole bunch of different versions of this, but this is probably the best angle. So I thought I'd share it with you. All right, here, watch this. Jeez, hold on. That's I'm trying to do some kind of maneuver here. Cool. Everything seems to be all right now. Right, everything's fine. That's okay. So right here is where everything goes a little haywire. But watch how this happens. Like it's almost like two birds. Have you ever seen two birds have sex? Why? Because I live on a wetland thing. So they'll collide up in the air and then they'll fall. Like they will fall together and then break apart. And somebody told me that's them having sex. Probably the internet. But that's what this looks like. these two jets here at this air show. So they've collided. Now look at them. They're like that right here. They're like two birds having sex.
Oh shit. Oh no. Oh shit. Okay.
All right, but here, that's the good sign, right? We got 4 parachutes. There's 2 guys in each plane. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's watch where this parachute, because I would be afraid, like when you're tangled like that, what if you ejected yourself right into the wing of the other, you know what I mean? Really dangerous ejection scenario here. Not that I know anything, but I have seen Top Gun multiple times.
Oh shit. Oh no. Oh shit. Okay, we got 4 parachutes.
Wow. And then like, what, do the parachutes just land in the fire? Like that would be my luck. Like the planes crash below, there's big flames, and I'm just going to slowly be lowered into the flames. No, thank you. God, I don't know. I don't even know. I guess everybody survived. I heard everybody survived. It's not a story that I'm responding to. It's just a video I'm sharing. I don't know what the details are. But I guess they were all okay. All right, now I want to show you a video here. This was going around virally yesterday. It comes from one of my favorite shows. Oh my God, back when this show debuted in the 1980s, there had never been anything like it. Of course, we're talking about Cops. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Come for you. I don't know the words. Cops was awesome. Cops ain't as awesome as random 2026 YouTube body cam video. That's better. I like that stuff better. But Cops was all we had. And it was cool, and it was edited, and Cops is filmed live on patrol. Cops was on forever. Now we've got On Patrol, right? Or On Patrol Live or whatever. I watched that for a while, and then I've kind of gotten off it. It's on one of those weird platforms now, right? Like Reels or something. Some platform I never even think of, so I don't watch. By the way, that's a very funny subplot in this season's HBO Max, The Comeback. Lisa, what's her name from Friends? Lisa Kudrow. I'm like, no, Kudlow is the other guy. Lisa Kudrow's show, The Comeback, one of the subplots is that whenever she gets introduced for these credits that she did 30, 40 years ago, but she just recently finished 3 seasons of a series that she thinks is the best work of her life, but it was on Reels, so nobody saw it. It's called Mrs. Hat. Mrs. Hat is the best work I've ever done, and nobody saw it. So every time she gets introduced, she goes, oh, and Mrs. Hat on Reels. Anyway, Cops, and now I don't know where On Patrol is. It's like on Reels or something. Anyway, Cops went off the air in 2020. There was one incident here that made big headlines back in 2014. One of the Cops production crew was killed during an armed robbery of a Wendy's restaurant. And it was never made public. It was a story that there was an incident, but the video never circulated. It was a judge had it under lock and key and all that. And then a couple of years ago, I saw it for the first time. Like it got released and didn't really get any big public traction as far as viral or anything like that. But it was something I remember seeing. I think it was in a news story. Anyway, it's back, and it went viral last night, and I wanted to show it to you, and I want to warn you, though, please, this is a situation where somebody does die. We do not see the actual carnage unfold. We don't see the person get shot, but it does happen during the course of this situation where chaos is ensuing. And then we do see the body of the person who gets shot. We don't see his face, but we do see a lifeless body laying right there. Here's why I wanted to mention it. Because it's going viral as without proper context. The lament of the person who is making this go viral is that our left-leaning politics and namby-pamby soft boy blah 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 ways led to the cancellation of this important show, Cops. Yeah, that was the vibe of the post. This is the death that occurred on the set of or during filming of Cops that led to its cancelization. That was the whole point of showing the video. None of that is true. This happened in 2014. It was canceled 6 years later in 2020. Okay. So the reaction to somebody being killed during the filming of Cops did not lead to a bunch of lefties canceling it. Okay. That's not what happened. Also, well, you know what? Here, let me just show it. Let's watch it. Let's just watch it. We'll show you how it unfolded. It is dramatic, and I do want to warn you, this may not be for everybody. Take about a 5-minute break from the show and come back, and then we'll wrap everything up today with Fun at the Old Ballpark. 2 parts. 2 parts of Fun at the Old Ballpark today. All right, so here, this is the video. This again comes to us from 2014. This is in Omaha, Nebraska. These are 2 Cops producers, a cameraman and a sound man, embedded with the officers there in Omaha. They are responding to a call of a armed robbery at a Wendy's restaurant. Okay, so let's watch this. Here we go. I'm going to fast forward because some of it isn't important, like this stuff. All right. Again, now this is raw footage from Cops. All right, here they go. They're responding to the call now.
Somebody running up.
Hey, where are they running?
All right, so apparently those are customers that were in the restaurant who ran out of the restaurant when the armed man ran in. Remember now, we're seeing this because there is a human being putting himself in the line of fire here, and we're hearing it. The whole reason we're hearing this, that guy's dead.
Are you all right? Are you all right? Bryce, are you all right? Bryce, are you all right? Bryce! We need squad here. We need squad. Bryce! Bryce, stay with me, man. Stay with me.
All right. So, wow. That is, the fabled death that occurred with Cops, or on the show of Cops. Terrible, obviously. But the way it's being presented is completely incorrect. The idea of the post was, this show should still be on, but not for. So I told you, first of all, it's not the cameraman. It was posted as, this is the cameraman being, it's not the cameraman, it's the sound guy, but that's stupid, okay? Secondly, it didn't lead to the cancellation of Cops. Cops ran for another 6 years. It was canceled in 2020. This had absolutely nothing to do with that. Thirdly, every one of those shots that you hear comes from the police. The guy, the armed robber, had a toy gun. A pellet gun? I think it might have been a pellet gun that didn't have any pellets in it. Every gunshot that you hear is from the Cops. Now, if he pulled a pellet gun and it looks like a real gun, I have no problem with Cops opening fire. But did you hear the insanity? This man, we're looking at this man's arm right here. It was just a sound guy. He's just following them in. And they were that reckless with the discharging of their guns in a public restaurant. How many times you got to shoot this guy? And he still ran out. Now, he ended up dying. I bet they hit him 5 times, and he probably ran pure adrenaline into the parking lot where he died. But again, listen to this. These are all the Cops' gunshots. just shooting into the parking lot at this point? The fuck? This is absurd, man. This is absurd. Friendly fire killed this cop, or this cop sound guy. Jesus, man, I don't know why I'm applauding that. Man, being a cop is hard, man. Being a cop is hard, and I think it ought to be harder to be a cop. How's that? There you go. That's how I feel. I think being a cop is hard, and therefore it ought to be a lot harder to be a cop. Say this coming from a cop family. Sort of. All right. Let's see. What else are we going to do here? Let's wrap this up. Look at that. Almost 2 hours. Perfect show. That's it. Not going crazy. Going to handle some other things today. Let's do a little segment that we call Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. This is an ongoing series that I've been doing, and it focuses on the way we're behaving. I guess it could be in public spaces, but, for the purposes of this theme, it's all, the way we're behaving at baseball games. 28,000 of us get together every, 162 times a year, and sometimes we behave poorly, sometimes we behave wonderfully. Sometimes it's not even Major League Baseball, as is the case here. This is some parents. Let's watch this. This is from a kids' Little League game. Now, we're going to be seeing this incident occur. Hold on. Oh, boy. Okay. Hold on. Let me make sure I get it queued up properly. This incident occurred at a Little League baseball game. Concerns the parent of a catcher and the parent of a got runner on third base who is crashing towards home. I want you to watch this and then listen to the parents, because we don't get to see the faces of the parents, but we hear them clear as day. Listen to the parents going back and forth. And then we'll talk about the play and what parent needs to shut the up, okay? Because one of these parents needs to up. All right, there you have it again. All right, so you see there's a play at the plate. The catcher is leaping in the air for a bad throw home, although it is Little League. I don't know how far the ball's coming from, so maybe it's a great throw home. But anyway, he has to leave his feet. The catcher is right now. First of all, the catcher's in a bad position, right? Awareness is, a big part of the job, because this is home plate and people want that more than anything else. So you always do have to be aware as a catcher with your positioning there at the plate, especially when a play is going on like this where someone is coming from third. So here comes the guy from third. All right, do you see that? This is the problem. This is the problem. The guy on third needs to slide. The guy on third must make every best effort to not absolutely blow up a player in a vulnerable position. What are you talking about? That's not it. No, stop it. This is thuggery. This guy teed him up because he saw he was exposed and decided to do this. This is a Bush League shithouse play. Okay? Now, I'm a catcher, ball puncher, just biased. No, I'm not just biased. This is a bullshit play. This kid knows better. This kid had ample opportunity to slide. In fact, he should have slid on a play at the plate like this, but he doesn't. He makes a decision that he's going to absolutely blow up the vulnerable catcher. Now, all right, so we know who's right and who's wrong. Catcher needs to be better aware of, his placement there at the plate, especially in a play like this. But this guy coming from third is violating one of those unspoken rules of baseball. And this is why I love baseball, because baseball is truly the only sport where the unspoken rules that have been handed down for generations are as enforced as the actual fucking rules. You're up by 13 runs in the seventh inning, and the other team's got a position player on the mound. You don't go yard, okay? Unspoken rule. A situation like this where there's a play at the plate and the catcher is in a vulnerable position, you make every attempt to avoid this kind of collision at the plate. That's just the way it is. So we know who did the wrong thing here. The third base kid did the wrong thing. Let's let it play out, and now let's listen to the parents. All right, so the first thing you're going to hear here is, oh my God, that's the dad of the catcher. Okay? The oh my God is the dad of the catcher. You'll hear a woman's voice go, "That's my son." That's the mother of the kid on third base. Okay, so now let's listen to these two.
Oh my God! Are you fucking kidding me? You piece of shit! Hey, that's a kid.
Hey, Dad, it's not okay. That's my son.
All right, so dad went with the F&P of S. All right. Look, I just kicked the crap out of PCA for 2 days. Dad's got to know better. That is not a response when you're at a kid's little league game. You do not, you can be thinking that, but you need to have the maturity, the emotional maturity, and the mental toughness to not call another person's kid an effing piece of S. Just like you don't call someone's mouthy fiance to S your effing. We don't do these things. So dad is out of line. And the response from everybody else, not only the mother, because we know that the person speaking up for the kid on third, the aggressor in this situation, we know that that's a woman and we hear her, but we hear everyone else. As soon as this guy goes, effing piece of shit, everybody go, whoa, that's a kid, man. So in that moment, those people are right. It's a kid, man. What is wrong with you? You are out of line. Let's listen one more time.
Oh my God! Are you fucking kidding me? You piece of shit! Hey, that's a kid.
Hey, Dad, it's not okay. That's my son.
So we hear one woman say, hey, that's his dad. That's his son. And then you hear the woman go, well, the other one's my son. Or the woman goes, it's my son.
Hey, Dad, it's not okay. That's my son.
Okay, all right. So there you have it. 2 sets of parents. So here's how I would break that down in this part 1 of Fun at the Old Ballpark. Here's how I'd break that one down. The dad whose son got blown up needs to control himself more. It's baseball. It's a terrible play, but we watch our kids play. We expect injuries or scary situations. We don't lose our shit and then, turn the other kid into a villain. Be mad at the little kid. I mean, there was a kid in a game with my son that I was very angry at, but I didn't stand up and go, yeah, fuck that kid. You don't do that. So dad, seeing his son get blown up, reacts in a very similar way to maybe PCA the other day when he missed the ball, felt embarrassed, and then reacted spontaneously in a way. These are just indications of a stunted maturity. You haven't reached maturity, your ability to control your outbursts like that. So dad is wrong. But then the mom, see the mom of the kid who crashed the plate, the mom of the kid on third, I get it. He's just called your kid an effing piece of S. And, any mom is going to look. I can tell you, somebody said that about my kid. My kid's mom would be ready to fight. So you don't say that, you can't say that. But you're wrong. Your kid was wrong. See, the kid did do something that was pretty shitty. Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Everybody is behaving badly. I don't know so much that the mom of the kid who crashed the plate, I don't know that the mom of the villain in this scenario necessarily did anything wrong other than go, hey, that's my kid. But still, keep your mouth shut. Your kid did something really shitty. But that dad, you can't do that. You cannot call another kid out there an effing piece of S. There you go. That's part 1 of Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. All right, here's part 2. This is a quick one. I like this. This is fun. I like this one. Now we're going back to the major leagues. This is, look, you go to a major league game. This is why I dislike Cub fans. This is why the whole Wrigley experience is just something that I think is not for me. Wrigley, God love them. This is not to say that Cub fans don't know baseball, right? But the average person on any given day at Wrigley Field is there as a tourist. They're not really into either team. They're there. They got tickets. They come to Chicago. Go to a game at Wrigley. It's that whole thing. So they're not taking pictures. They're not watching the game. They're taking pictures. They're on Instagram. What they're doing that stuff. That's what people do. So here we go. This is at T-Mobile Park. Where's T-Mobile Park? There was a time when I used to know all the ballparks. T-Mobile. Seattle? Oh my God, my team is playing in T-Mobile right now. I should know. Played at T-Mobile yesterday. All right, so here, these are some what look to be Seattle Mariner fans. Bunch of girls out there having a good time. I don't know where they're seated, but there are certain places in a ballpark where if you're seated along certain lines, you better pay attention to every pitch. Just pay attention to every pitch because you never know when one's going to come in hot. So here they are. They're enjoying. They're probably live streaming on their Insta or their TikTok, whatever it is they're doing.
Oh! Show your kid!
Show your tits indeed. She's not paying attention. She's like, she's clowning for clicks. Show your tit. Oh, she gets clocked, man. That was a line drive. That wasn't even a ricochet. Let's watch that one more time. Yeah, we're going to watch it a couple more times because she's fine. She's fine. She's fine, and she got what she deserved because you don't go to a baseball game and not pay attention. All right, here we go.
Oh! Show your kid!
Oh, God. That is... Oh, go. Oh, there it is right there. That's it. I got it. That is pounding right off her head right here. Oh, yeah.
Oh! Show your kid!
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Yeah, leave the TikTok bullshit at home.
Oh! Show your kid!
Oh! Jesus. All right. Look, I think it's funny because I'm a baseball snob. I sometimes keep score. Why not? Nah, that's not true. I haven't done that in like 20 years, but I used to. I used to with the little scorecard, doing that whole thing. I've dialed into every play, every pitch. Not her, though. Not her. She's getting ready to show her tits on TikTok. All right. That's going to do it for fun at the old ballpark. I'm going to leave you with this. This is something I saw yesterday on Twitter. It's weird. Now, granted, it's probably not true, but wow. I mean, this is wild. This is kind of wild. You're going to look at this and you're going to go, well, it's probably not true, but wow. That might, So there was a thing going around last night on the Twitter box that purported to have discovered that Michael Jackson is not dead, that Michael Jackson is actually living the life of a regular person and riding buses in Mexico City. Yeah. Michael Jackson didn't die. He just moved out. He decided he wanted to go live a life of obscurity. And to prove this, somebody on a bus in Mexico took a picture of Michael Jackson, who they believe is Michael Jackson living in Mexico. Now, I know that that's a funny, I mean, come on, Michael Jackson's dead. I know that that's a funny thing, but where do you see this guy? This guy is weird. All right, here we go. All right, this is, are these multiple pictures or is it just one? All right, yeah, here. All right, so check this out now. This is a dude that was captured on a bus in Mexico City, and people are saying that it's actually Michael Jackson. All right. Okay, look at that dude. Look at that dude. That dude looks just like Michael Jackson. It's just some old Mexican dude, or maybe a Mexican woman. I don't know, but you're telling me this is about the age that Michael Jackson would be if Michael Jackson wasn't doing the whole Michael Jackson thing anymore. Like if Michael Jackson was never Michael Jackson, he was just Michael Jackson who sold insurance outside Gary, Indiana. Like this is what he would look like. How wild is that? It's the nose. It's the nose that does it. Like that's not a natural nose. That nose is a mistake. That nose is the result of multiple failed or botched surgeries. This guy's got the same nose. How about the eyes? I don't know. I'm in, man. Michael Jackson lives, and he's down there in Mexico City, and he's riding the buses. Who's with me? Let's do it. What's this about? Oh, Mikey D. Mikey D with fun facts. You know how I love my fun facts. Mikey D. Hold on. Mikey D says, I was on an episode of Cops in New Orleans. Okay. I want all the details right now in the chat room. Give me all the details, and then I'll come back and revisit it. But we'll spend some time with some other people in the chat room right here. Because you guys aren't really being all that chirpy today in the chat room. Adam says, I love a sincere apology. I hope you're being, I don't know. I can't read it. Nuance and expression and sarcasm, all that shit is lost in text. But I believe that was a sincere apology. I believe it was, because of the way he has really worked hard to be worthy of the guy on kids' bedroom walls. And, as a White Sox fan, it's hard for me to say, but it is true. PCA is, by all measures, a good member of the community and somebody who really enjoys what he means to young kids. So I don't know, Adam. I hope you're being, sincere, but I think that PCA was sincere, and that's why we're going to, there we go. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. He says it sounded contrite, said the right thing. Let's move on. There you go. Look at me and Adam. I love it when Adam and I can agree. He says, that's why I say Aziz Ansari did it well and was accepted back into the mainstream, unlike Louis C.K. I don't know what Aziz did to come back. I wasn't, Mikey D with a nice thought. This is a nice thought. He says Chud needs to lose a few teeth there in prison. Compliments Big Bubba, who can use him as his bottom. Yeah, somebody in the chat room, I wanted to address this. Somebody in the chat room, and maybe it was Adam, but they said that in prison, they say it's not gay if you're the top. And then I think it was Adam. And then Adam's like, yeah, I imagine it's just a dark, tight hole. All right. So it's not gay if you're the one that is sexually stimulated by the butt of another man. So that's the contention. They say it's not that. Honestly, that sounds like gaslighting. That sounds like prison gaslighting. It ain't gay if you're the one on top. Wait, shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't it be it ain't gay if you're the one being held down and forced to participate in this? But you're the one on top. You're the one initiating this whole thing. I don't want to have butt sex with you, man. But you're initiating this whole thing. And now you're trying to sell me that you're the one that's not gay. Stop it. I mean, I have difficulty seeing what you mean, but yeah, no, I've heard that myself, and it's completely absurd. It's okay. Boom, 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 boom. Any takers on the Michael Jackson thing? Anybody believe? All right, Adam. Look, if Adam's gonna comment, then I'm gonna focus on Adam. Adam says, I went to a high school varsity volleyball game, and I'm glad that the parents from the girl we were supporting didn't riot. The opposing team scores 2 runs on a ball that was foul. Should have been a dead ball. Okay, but it's kids' sports, and no better way for a kid to be prepared for the unfairness of the world that will greet him or her than to just, get them all primed for bullshit. That's right. Got to behave yourself. You cannot. God, that is such a narcissistic thing. Think about that. The parent who acts a fool at the kid's game, he is not considering for 1 second his kid. Not for 1 second. He's considering his feelings and how he feels that he has been aggrieved because he is vicariously living through his child. That's the extent to which he's thinking about his child. He's not thinking about how the next day at school, all the kids are going to be like, your dad's kind of an asshole, huh? Your dad's one of those guys who can't behave in public. My dad said your dad is a fool. So the next time you want to run your mouth at a baseball game and chew out an umpire or say something shitty about, whatever, it's kid sports, think about that. But they won't. They won't, because a person who is that reflexive and that emotionally volatile combined with the maturity and immaturity, that's just not, you're never going to consider the kid. You're never going to go, all right, before I do this, God, I want to just scream about how I want to skull F that ump. But before I do this, what's going to happen 30 seconds after I do that? Let me game plan this out. That's choice therapy. See, you learn that in choice therapy. Game it out. Game out 30 seconds after you do what you really want to do. Some of us just don't have the ability to stop there. And it's not to say that you can't ever pop off. You can. Sometimes you will decide. You're like, nah, fuck it. I'm going for it. Fuck you. But you just do have to have that moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to make a choice here. And I know that after I do this at my kid's baseball game, it's probably going to be pretty shitty. People are going to think I'm an asshole, but I'm doing it anyway because it's about me, not about him. Adam goes on to say it was a playoff game. So very, very, very important. What is Barney talking about? Barney took her sunglasses. Probably talking about something that I was talking about and I've long since forgotten. Yes. Okay. So Adam does say he feels that PCA was being sincere. Is this a thing? Is this a thing, Mike D? Hold on. Let me look this up. See if this is a thing that's breaking right now. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Breaking news. Kansas City Chief wide receiver and one-time SMU standout and menace on the 75 Central Expressway. Rashee Rice has been ordered to spend 30 days in jail for violating probation. I don't know if it's the probation. Do you remember Rashee Rice? Remember this 2 years ago? 75 Central right there, 75 at Mockingbird. Rashee Rice and a bunch of friends come back to party at his college, SMU, and they ran a whole bunch of Lamborghinis and shit, and they caused a massive accident there on 75, and everybody pulled out their phone and recorded Rashee Rice, NFL player of the Kansas City Chiefs, and his boys just kind of slinking off, just walking away. Didn't stay and wait for the cops. Nope. As a matter of fact, one of them was like, don't film us, Not taking responsibility, being the entitled athlete, advised by horrible, horrible agents who tell them things like, if you ever do find yourself in this situation, run, because if they can't put you at the scene, we'll be able to argue that in court. That's the kind of advice these fuckers get. So Rashee Rice, that guy, that piece of garbage who caused a massive accident for a lot of normal, nice people because he's a millionaire 22-year-old with a Lamborghini on 75 Central. That son of a bitch. And then just walked away from it all and got to keep playing in the NFL. He should have missed a fucking entire season, but no. Apparently he apologized. Anyway, just a really shitty thing. And quite frankly, now look at me. Now I'm going to make a choice before I go further on the Rashee Rice thing. He is a young kid. Maybe he can learn from it, although apparently not, because he's violated probation. So maybe trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe that's not, because maybe this was the benefit of the doubt was when he was allowed to play and then had to toe the line on certain things, and now he has not toed the line, and apparently he is in violation. It says Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice to spend 30 days in jail. Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice has been ordered to spend 30 days in jail. How many different ways can you say it? Rice was taken into custody after he tested positive for THC. Oh, my God. Oh, that's the reason. Rice was taken into custody after he tested positive for THC, which violated the terms of his plea agreement in a high-speed multi-vehicle crash in 2024 on a Dallas highway. There you go. That's the one we're talking about. A couple of ways to look at this. Okay, there are a couple of ways. And again, we can make a choice on how we see this. First choice is this dumb fuck was given the restricted, just don't smoke weed for the time that you're on probation, and your multi-million-dollar, potential $100 million NFL career will not be jeopardized. Just don't smoke weed for a year. And he couldn't do it. So you can't do it, really? So that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, are you fucking kidding me? This is legal in like half the country. You're going to run this kid. This is the violation. I thought it was like, oh, he shoved his girlfriend in the parking lot of an Applebee's. I thought it was like, some kind of like actual violation. You're going to run him for this? So there's two ways to look at it. I choose the latter. I think that this is an absurd thing. The only thing that he has done in violation, if he's towed the line and he's been a good upstanding member, and the only thing is that he popped hot for weed, you're going to throw all that other shit out the way. Come on, man. Just make it fucking legal, okay? Just make it legal at the national level. This is stupid. But also, there is a small part of me that's, you could not smoke weed for a year. I mean, that's telling, right? Talk about emotional immaturity and mental weakness. But he's a kid. Kids still have emotional immaturity. Why? Well, because they're immature. They're quite literally not fully matured yet. So, in a filing on Tuesday, May 19th, the Dallas County Court ordered Rice to serve 30 days in jail for violating probation by testing positive for THC. The document states he will be released on June the 16th, just in time for camp. Although I imagine the NFL. No, come on, NFL. That time frame conflicts with the dates the Chiefs have released for OTAs. Okay, so he's going to miss OTAs. Well, so what? He's Rashid Rice. Okay, he's not a rookie. He'll be fine. Besides, OTAs, aren't they optional? Isn't that what the O stands for? Right? Or no, or is it organizational? What is? I used to know what all these things meant. What does OTA mean in NFL parlance? Organized. It's organized team activities. Okay, and they're not optional. Never mind. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So yeah. All right. Rashid Rice getting rung for popping hot with weed. Jesus. He's a wide receiver. We're lucky he didn't kill his pregnant girlfriend. Seriously. What? A rim shot and applause for that? You are a monster. Oh, wait. Hold this. Adam's got some Rashid Rice information for us here. He says, I don't know if this is about Rashid Rice. Let's see. He sexually assaulted, raped a girl on a date, and she wrote an article about it. Instead of accusing her and saying he didn't do it, he said he misread the singles and should have stopped, but didn't. I don't know if that's about Rashid Rice. I mean, that sounds... I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Again, I don't have the full context. Oh, look at me. Big, dumb, fat fingers. Made everything go away. Come on. Big, dumb, fat fingers always raise up when I try to scroll through the chat room. See, you guys in the chat room, when we go back through the chat room, you need to, in parentheses, give me a little context about what you're talking about, because Barney's just randomly out there going, it should be absolutely the other way. Like, what? What? What way? What are the choices? What are we talking about? I think Barney might be referring to the two ways of looking at Rashid Rice. You can choose to demonize him, right? By saying you couldn't fucking just stop, which is a problem. Or the way that I choose to look at it, which is, are you fucking kidding me? Would you just stop with the weed bullshit? Stop it. He's not a criminal. He doesn't deserve to go to prison because he smoked weed. But what Barney does? What, on a technicality? Barney, what are you saying? Yes, it's infuriating that this dumb nitwit kid couldn't not smoke fucking weed, but you shouldn't go to prison for fucking weed, Barney. Well, that's how it is. See that? He triggered me, and I don't even know if that's what he was talking about. Who cares? That's why we have a Barney and an Adam and all these people. Barney says, I sometimes wonder if you're doing the same show we're watching. Yeah, I do too, man. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just sitting here yelling at clouds. Adam says that he was talking about Aziz Ansari when he was describing the rape thing or whatever, accused of rape. Yeah. All right, there you go. Barney agrees with me that he wasn't talking about Rashid Rice, but thank you. Thank you for allowing me to go off on a little rant. Barney was talking about prison gay. How, I think Adam said that in prison they believe the guy on top is the one who's not gay. To which I pointed out what I think are just obvious flaws in that theory, but okay. I think Barney agrees with me. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Barney's not stupid. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it. We're done. We're out of steam. I'm going to get out of here. I've got a bunch of stuff that I got to do today, and I'd like to have a couple hours to do it in. So we'll rally back here tomorrow for more. Like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends. Bring a friend. It's Bring a Friend Week. Ain't nobody's brought a friend. Ain't none of you got friends. Bunch of incels. Not incels. What could you guys be? Be a win cell. Don't be an incel. Be a win cell. Be a winner cell. Guys, I'm done. Can you tell I'm on gas? All right, I love you guys. Bye, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Why not? Noon.